the 20th. Rise and shine. This is Coffee Talk. I'm Wesh 2 First Warning Meteorologist Eric Burris. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. Sometimes we drink the coffee, sometimes we drink the other thing. It's a protein shake, it's not wine in a box. Okay, at least we got that going for us. But today is a pretty fun day, all right? There's a significance to today, June 20th. The summer countdown is over. Today is the summer solstice, the longest day of the calendar year, at least in terms of sunlight. 13 hours, 57 minutes, and 41 seconds. Happy summer. Now we're there. Meteorological summer, of course, already started, but happy actual summer, my friends. Heading to the beach today, it's going to be one of those great days. You want to get outside, you want to enjoy lots and lots of events going on around Central Florida. Certainly, we want to make sure to get you updated on all of it. But before we get into the depths of it, let's just look outside, see what's doing out there for us this morning. All right. A look at our Tower Cam network. All right. It's going to load 4 different cameras. So let's just peek in as the computer pulls them up. Downtown Orlando, gorgeous, 78 degrees the current temperature. It's gorgeous. New Smyrna Beach, already here. Why are you looking at me? New Smyrna Beach, top right. People are already loading it on up. 77 degrees, 78 at the tourist district. I don't know what weather station we have for the Kennedy Space Center loaded. Why it's not displaying temperatures. Let me look at that. Hold on. Time to make the sausage. Hold on. Mm-mm. There we are. All right. It's what happens when you don't load the right stuff in there. I'm not blaming anybody. It just is what it is. All right, 78 in the tourist district. It's loading. Give it a second. 78 at the tourist district. Of course, we've got Epcot. And on the bottom right, Kennedy Space Center at 79 degrees. So it's a beautiful, quiet start. First warning, live Doppler radar scanning around Central Florida. And would you look at that? We've got some rains popping on up. Let's go right in, see what's doing here through Marion, Sumter, and Lake counties. The good news is it's nothing too strong. You don't get rains, though, all that often this time of day. All right. No lightning strikes. Wanted to point that out. But let's zoom in even further, and you can see around Lake Weirsdale on the north side there of the villages. These downpours just kind of sneaking on through. They're doing their thing. Checking on the wind velocity data from our Doppler radar. Nothing too strong. So a little bit of rain out there this morning. How does that play in through the rest of the day? All right, let's take a look at our 12-hour forecast. And you'll see we've got the mention of rain in the afternoon. This stuff that's popping up is just kind of that pop-up showers. So less than a 10% coverage, obviously, which is why it's not mentioned on the map. But 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to start to see that rain chance graduating as the day progresses. So let's dial up here and see what our Futurecast has to say. We'll start with the rapid refresh Futurecast. All right, this one runs every hour. It doesn't go out that far, but at least it gives us an idea of what's going on, a quick and dirty idea. And essentially 11, 12, popcorn areas of rain here or there, but 12, 1, 2, we start to see some of the heavier stuff dialing up, right? 3, 4, look how widespread it is. Now, I'm doing Wesh 2 News at noon and at 4 today, so we're going to have a lot of stuff to track. All right? Look at 4:30, 5 o'clock. That's where the impulsing up occurs, where we start to see the stronger threat in our western areas. 6, 7 o'clock tapering off, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tapering off. Okay. So that's going to be that 60% coverage of showers and storms that you see here on the 12-hour forecast. All right. It's going to be an active afternoon. So plan accordingly. Okay. Questions about that so far? Then we can move on to the 7-day. But questions about today so far? Clouds today, Don says. Yep. Tanya's asking, is there hail in that small system? Oh, what's going on right now? I wouldn't suspect so. Let's see here. What we can do is we can cross-section it. Yeah, I mean it's not that, I mean it's 20,000 feet tall. Um, Maybe that one on the left side there, if it were to want to gradually grow, what we're looking for when you're looking at hail is you're looking aloft to see if there's a higher pulse of energy. And like right there, it's at 20, it's at 15, 17,000 feet. I think that's probably a little too low to see hail, but nevertheless, this is how we look for hail. You look at the Doppler radar in 3 dimensions to just kind of see. So if we were to, go back to the flat map, all right, and then we just kind of switch over to the Doppler radar, that's the manual way to do things. Then there's also just a hail tracker, which just kind of does the guesswork for us, and it's not indicating anything. So yeah, not looking at that. All right. Okay, so temperatures this afternoon, 93 degrees in Orlando. Average high is 91, so it's going to be above average today. 93 degrees in Wildwood. Upper 80s, lower 90s along the coastline. Okay. All right, we'll go back to the 12-hour questions about today's forecast, then we can move on to the 7-day forecast. All right. Debbie's asking coastal for today. I just showed Futurecast, Debbie. I'm showing the 12-hour. We're going to look at the 7-day forecast next, and we'll look at the 7-day forecast for the coast as well. So I've got you covered. Don't you worry. Tanya says it came down more like hail in the beginning. Could have briefly put some down. I mean, it's possible. I didn't look at like its history there. I just looked at its current status. So maybe it did have some hail at the very beginning. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's look at the 7-day forecast and get an idea of our weekend. And then, of course, we can look ahead not only at the 7-day forecast in our inland spots, but we can also look at the 7-day forecast for our coastal communities. So, viewing the pattern here, today is going to be the most active day atmospherically. We'll have the opportunity for showers and thunder showers. So, yeah, we've got the activity there. Rain coverage comes down just a little bit for our Saturday and our Sunday. It just kind of hovers on a lower end of a rainy season pattern, but is still with us through next week. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at. Today is going to be the more active of the days. All right. The humidity is brutal this morning, George says. Oh, yeah. I would, I mean, the muggy meter has us straight up steamy. When you cross over the dew point of 75 to 76, it's like there's a big deal. So, yeah, the dew point, the humidity, the muggy meter is rough today, no doubt. And it's going to be that way Sunday and Monday as well. All right, coastal friends, your 7-day forecast. Not as many variations, we'll say, rain chance wise. Today's going to be a little stormier, still more of an inland event and our West Coast community event. And you'll see a 30% coverage of storms next couple of days, though you do notice high temperatures for our coastal communities, minus like right on the beach. But our coastal communities run in the lower 90s there. Yeah. Tanya says, I am not working today. This will definitely be my break time, a much needed break. You take what you need. You take what you need. Joy says, Jeeps on the beach tomorrow in New Smyrna Beach. Hope the rain stays away. So let's dial Futurecast up and get an idea of our Saturday. We looked at the rapid update Futurecast, which only goes through today, but let's go further to the extended Futurecast. And we're just going to quickly go through. Yeah, I mean, it's showing the same idea with the bigger storms out west, timing, etc. All right. Let's get to our weekend forecast, shall we? Here is your Saturday morning. Beautiful. Notice by 12:30 though, already trying to develop that East Coast sea breeze, popping a couple of showers there. East of town, 12:30, 1 o'clock, right? Look at that, a little bit of rain. Okay, so a little bit of an earlier, perhaps, start to the showers there along I-95, right? Rolling through 2:30, 3 o'clock, couple of areas of rain through the metro, and then we're going to see this stuff working into our western areas. But again, you notice that coverage comes down a little bit. Just as we showed on the 7-day forecast, that overall weather pattern wants to favor rain chances more today than the next couple of days. Okay, does that make sense? So that's kind of where we're at. So if you're heading out to the theme parks, Magic Kingdom, for example, today, it's going to be great. There's going to be storms. And looking at this weekend's forecast, right? Looking at this weekend's forecast, if you're making plans, both days look fine. It does look like the storm coverage is a bit lower, though, on Sunday. So plan that as you may. Okay? Melanie says, we can use some rain in Grant Valkyria. Oh, yeah. Well, it's not just Grant Valkyria. We're doing okay in terms of the Keach Byram Drought Index for most of town. But notice, like you had mentioned for Grant Valkyria, perfect caveat for me to move over to this. We're not in the drought, or I should say, we're not in our drought season. We're not in the dry season anymore. We have transitioned to the wet season. But Brevard County has elevated from the blue shades back to the green. So you're running in a rainfall deficit here recently. The dryness is starting to play out. When we look at the rain stats for the year, if I can find it, here we are. If we look at the rain stats for the year, Daytona Beach and Orlando, if you recall, we had like a 7-inch deficit, and it's gone now. Leesburg, Sanford, still in a bit of a drought, but Daytona Beach and Melbourne, our East Coast communities are absolutely working in a drought here. So, yeah, it's one of those things where we're definitely in a situation where we could use some rain, right? So, if your house is begging for it, like I get it, I get it. You're not the only ones having to deal with that, right? But our East Coast communities for sure could use some rainfall. Yeah. Has the Saharan dust subsided in Florida? That's a great question. So let's dial up the Saharan air layer. Okay. This is just a broad stroke, and we're going to get to the tropics here in a few moments' time. But when we look at the Saharan air layer, there's not a ton of it in our area. It's more, some of it hanging around, but the vast majority of it has shifted out into the Gulf, out into the Caribbean. So for now, there's some Saharan air, but it is not a significant player. Okay. All right. So we've shown the 7-day. I'm going to pop it up once again. Questions, comments, concerns that you may have about our local forecast. Okay. I want to make sure that we are chatting. Then next up is looking at the tropics. Yippee-ki-yay. Umatilla keeps missing the rain, Amy says. This pattern should help Umatilla get some rain. I love the little Umatilla airport, by the way. Rose says, wow, can't believe how low Daytona is on rain. It's popped east near Daytona, and then it's all shifted inland. So it's been a struggle for our East Coast communities, for sure. Christine says, my garden in Melbourne is crying dusty tears. I can visualize that. You are a storyteller. When we get to the tropics, how will Hurricane Eric feed into our future weather? Oliver's at. Well, Hurricane Eric should stay out there in the Pacific, and its recycles, if you will, should stay in the Pacific, but we can talk more about it. Terry, my lawn is brown again here in Melbourne. I know. I know. I know. Yep. That has shifted the rain to us. Well, and to that point, Frank Burris, brother Frank, how you doing? You enjoying that rainfall a little bit? You enjoyed it? I hope. All right. All right. So that's where we're at. Okay. Any other questions before we go to the tropics? I'll give you all a few seconds to ask the questions. I need a clear weekend to give my clients a date for their sale. 401 Marvel and DC Comics. There you go. Flagler seems fine with the rain, Patty says. I mean, overall, the East Coast has been a bit drier. But yeah, I think Flagler's been a little bit better. Frank says, yes, except I have to cut my grass. Well, don't be so lazy. You got to do what you got to do. I have to call you after coffee talk, by the way, Frank. I have to call you today. Debbie says, I decided to wear a Disney shirt this morning since I can't go and leave cannoli that long. A Disney shirt because I'm confused. Okay. All right. Tropics. Let's chat about it. Right off the bat, here's the tropical satellite. We showed the Saharan dust a few moments ago. the Saharan dust is overwhelming the Gulf, the Caribbean, and the overall tropical Atlantic. So the good news is there is no tropical development expected over the next 7 days' time. We are super quiet, and that's the way it's going to stay. Here's another look at that Saharan air, and you can see it just crossing the Atlantic. That's the main development region. You see it all in the Gulf, all in the Caribbean. As long as this pattern stays, we will stay very, very quiet. But let me do this. Let me pull up. This is going to be, give me a few seconds to make the sausage. All right, this is the Saharan air layer modeling. Okay. And look, it's not perfect like everything else. It's a model, but it'll at least give us an idea of where the Saharan air, the Saharan dust goes. So it continues. There's another massive push of Saharan air late next week. And that probably into the very, very end of June and early July moves our areas. We'll probably have another inundation of Saharan air. So the Atlantic's going to stay quiet. And as long as these little waves of dust move into the Caribbean and the Gulf, it's going to keep those areas quiet. So for now, this is a quiet start to hurricane season, right? That's good. Nobody's complaining. Let's take a look at the raw computer model data. Let's see what it's trying to say here. All right. Again, computer models are guidance, not gospel. So as we look at this, just understand what you're looking at. They are mathematical equations. This is a deterministic model. So if it shows something, don't take it to the bank. The whole purpose of what I do on Coffee Talk is to try and make sense of this, because in a world where this raw data is freely available to the public, you've got a lot of these people that are posting scary stuff. Okay. And my goal is to show the scary stuff, but put perspective to it. All right. All right. Let's roll through here. High pressure. Now it's showing, if you look at the very bottom near the word talk, the L and the K, you see it's got like a couple little cags that it's trying to move around there. Nothing of significant development. Although look out right-hand side, right about the 30-degree north parallel, it's trying to show some sort of Fujiwara goofiness around Bermuda. We'll look and see how it compares to any other model, but the GFS does GFS things. There's another system there in the Pacific. We're into July 3rd. There's July 4th. All right. So the GFS showing some little things, nothing crazy. Okay. All right. Let's look at the European. The European, interestingly enough, is showing a broad area of low pressure out near Bermuda, but nothing organized. So, something. Oh, but look at that right there, north of Bermuda. You see that on the kind of top right part of your screen there? Hmm. Okay, we'll go back a run so we can go further out. Around June 28th, something east of us to watch? Maybe. Otherwise, nothing. So for now, the tropics are going to remain quiet. The overall pattern should keep it that way. Madden-Julian oscillation. We watched this to try and get an idea of when, the pattern favors lift. It's not as bullish around the 26th as having lift, although it does show Central America. So Central America is going to continue developing these CAG lows, the 24th, the 25th. Don't be surprised if into next week you get more activity, probably in the Pacific, but that's what the GFS was trying to say, is around the 24th, 25th, maybe could get some CAG lows, coming off. So have to watch that. Then we look around July 4th and July 5th. That's when the lift may be there in the Caribbean. So if we can get rid of the Saharan dust around July 4th, July 5th, there's an opportunity perhaps to see some sneaky little bugger do its thing. Could be. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah. In a world where weather happens, hypers hype up the hypeable. One man dares to bring the facts. His one man mission to bring guidance, not gospel, to a world lost in fear. Eric Burris is the mighty meteorologist. Oliver, that's funny. You should be a writer. Oh man. D Rod over on YouTube says, we know it's hurricane season when we hear the word Campeche. And I'm empty, so I can't Campeche with you guys. Dag nabbit. Hey, at least we have nothing to track for right now. At least I can hear the DMB intro music now. That's right. Anyone seen the bridge? Oh man. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? We're a mess. I think we've established we're a mess. Jeannie Rowan, drink. You gotta do what you gotta do. Oh man. Janice says Eric Burris kept us informed. No hype. I'll always give you the data, the perspective. That's all I can do, right? At least now I get the detention. Cindy. Oh man. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? You definitely have a backup job if this falls through ever. Catherine, here's the problem. AI is going to replace that, right? Like AI. I don't have that good of a voice. AI will be the in a world where blah 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 blah. Oh well. Jeannie Rowan, my pleasure. Hope you have a great Friday as well. Lori's asking for the coastal forecast. Sure, sure. It's humid as all get out. Anybody anywhere in town is just sitting schwitzing. We're schwitzing. What are we gonna do? We're schwitzing. Robin, so glad you're back in my morning. So glad to have you back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're schwitzing over here. Oliver, I've been told that many times I should be a writer. Just can't stick to it. Started several books, never got very far. I've fallen some daily doses of Winnie. Yeah, that's okay, Oliver. You know who I've gotten into? Okay, so I loved reading nonfiction, and a dear friend said you should try fiction. And I said I'm not a Danielle Steele guy. Friend said check Andy Weir out. Can I tell you something? I have read almost every one of Andy Weir's books by now. If anybody here is a nerd, read Andy Weir. The book that I read to start it all off was Project Hail Mary. I think we've talked about this on Coffee Talk. They're making it into a movie. Project Hail Mary was so friggin' good. Y'all, if you're looking for a book to read, Project Hail Mary. I just finished Artemis, which I think was written before like the actual Artemis from NASA because it's not related to that. But anyway, yeah. All right. Questions, comments, concerns, anything? Do we have anything? Uh, Heather Smith says, big Andy Weir fan here. Yeah, right? I have never taken to an author like I have with Andy Weir. I read The Martian. Although, you know what's fun? Now, I saw The Martian, what, a decade ago? However long it came out. I saw The Martian a decade ago. I don't remember it being anything like the book. I just read the book. So now I'm like, I feel like I need to go back and I need to watch The Martian again to see how it was. I'm verklempt. I'm verklempt. Oh, I've got to give you a topic. I can't think of one right now because I haven't had enough coffee. Discuss. Oh man. Debbie, are they sci-fi? They're sci-fi books, but with so much like actual science in it that it's like, oh, this is good. This is good. If you dug Project Hail Mary, you might also like Seven Eves, Tad. I am done with books at the moment. I need another book. So I'm looking. Do I go nonfiction again or do I stay with fiction? Right? So I just finished Artemis and now I'm like, what do I do next? So if you've got a suggestion, yeah, let's do it. Melissa says The Martian was his best. I feel like I feel like Project Hail Mary was probably as good as The Martian, if not even better. It's at least as good. Heather says it's because Andy Weir is an engineer and does his science research for his books. I didn't know that, but I had to know that, right? Like, I figured this guy was just a mega nerd. I haven't looked him up at all. I just know I love his work. But dude is so good. What kind of bad Brooklyn Italian accent was that? It was the kind that sits in the dumpster behind a restaurant. That's what it was. Amy says the book is always better. It's true. Oliver, I have heard of him, but never read any of his stuff. I'm more of a Tom Clancy, Richard Marchenko reader. Okay, so I have thought about Oliver going next into Tom Clancy because I've seen some of the movies, but now I'm like, I would love to see what the books are like. Like, I have thought very seriously about going Clancy next. Yeah. I'll put your AI on my YouTube channel and send it to you. Oh my God, Tanya, my AI. What about my AI? What about my AI? Did you make a me AI? Should I be terrified? Am I terrified? Should I be? In my opinion, Clancy's good, but rambles on about too many details. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so Anne says Challenger and Chernobyl by Adam Hickenbotham. I've read Challenger. I have not read Chernobyl, but I was a fan of Challenger by Hickenbotham. How funny. Are we all together? Amy's asking, have I been blocked? You've not been blocked at all. No. And it's funny though that we're all nerds here, right? Like, know, yeah. Oliver, I do love fiction that is rooted in facts. I think that's what grabbed me. If it was fiction like way out in left field, probably would not have connected to it. But fiction that's connected in facts like it is, yeah. Audrey says I agree. Hail Mary was great. And they're making a movie, and I'm terrified the movie is going to be terrible. But I digress. Hmm. The Coffee Talk Book Club. Yeah, we're a disaster here. The one Stephen King movie that was good. Okay, so I loved Shawshank Redemption. I feel like I would love to read it. Yeah. Yeah. As always, thank you for getting my day started off. Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate it. I love Clancy. Okay. I'm bringing you. You don't need to bring me a book, my dear. I didn't love the end of Project Hail Mary. But Melissa, I feel like that's the way it had to go. So one of the guys I work with he's an engineer and he and I are nerds. And he had already read Hail Mary. And he's like, you're not going to see the end of Hail Mary. And I'm like, I have a feeling it's going to go a different direction than you want it to go. But honestly, I feel like that's the direction it had to go. Diane says, Hunt for Red October book was better than the movie to me. So I loved the movie. And I think it's funny that you mention it, Diane, because I do think Hunt for Red October is probably going to be my next book. Be careful in there, Ryan. Things in there don't tend well to bullets. I know it's a bad voice. I know it's terrible. What are we going to do? Jamie, I have, yeah. So I did get a chance to check out those Google models. I need to set it up in the control room that is for Coffee Talk so that we can review that. But yeah. Anne says, I didn't know Shawshank Redemption is a book. Need to read this. Oh, I would have to as well. Yeah, yeah. Crystal, why don't I see you on my TV as much lately? I'm gonna be doing the noon and 4 today. Vacation. That's all. Vacation. No spoilers, George says. Can't remember the author, popular author, but book was written outside of the typical genre. I think it was called Swarm. It was about nanobots. Very interesting and scary at the same time. That's all we need is to know that these little nanobots are going to come at us. You know what I mean? I don't need that. I don't need that stress unlocked. Yeah, Hunt for Red October was great. Shawshank was great. I'm a huge Tim Robbins fan. So, yeah. Oh, well. All right. Do we have any other questions? Read bio of actor Jimmy Stewart. Absolutely. Yeah, he did live an interesting life. That would be an interesting book to read, I guess. Amy, how is the new guy working out? What new guy? Marquise has been with us for a while. He's the newest member of the weather team. Read 1 second after. It's about an EMP attack. Really good. Oh, Taco Dog. That does sound interesting. Mr. Charles, good morning. Good morning. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Is it summer yet? Tonight, technically. Technically tonight. Yeah. Oh, wow. Shawshank is a short story. I didn't know that. Oh, Oliver. I haven't been to work since he was on the air, so I have no idea. Alan, I'll see him today. Yeah, I don't know. I've been out all week, so I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. All right, people, enough. Enough. All right, listen. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Well, today, noon and 4, and then tomorrow on West to New Sunrise, and then Coffee Talks. That sound good? All right, listen. Take care, y'all. Bye.